Both ambassadors for Mental Health UK. What does this role involve?
Yeah, so I think I can speak for Neil as well when I say that we are very privileged to be ambassadors for Mental Health UK, and be able to go out there and, you know, talk and spread our message and raise awareness. There is still a stigma attached to mental health. You know, I mean, yes, we are talking about mental health more, but I feel it's still very much on a sort of surface level. You know, we hear about it in the news, and it's touched on into real detail. It's so complex, mental health. And so, yeah, myself and Neil, we get to go into workplaces in particular on behalf of Mental Health UK, and to you know, talk and try and educate and try and make people understand. And you know, it's always fascinating, the conversations that we have afterwards. So many people, everyone in fact, can relate in some way, even if they've not experienced, you know, mental health issues themselves. Then there's a friend or a family member, so we've all been touched by mental health in some way. And it's just about breaking the taboo, you know, and that's what I feel myself and Neil are maybe able to do, go in and sort of break that taboo, particularly in the workplace, when, you know, it's it can be really difficult to address it in the workplace. But yeah, it's a real privilege to go and share our story and to then encourage others to talk. It's always amazing what comes out. You know, we've been in companies where, you know, people have stood up after our talks and said, look, no one knows this, but I lost a sibling to suicide. And everyone turns around and they're like, I just didn't know that about you, and I wish we would have known and we could have supported you. And yeah, it's always so interesting. It just takes one conversation to, you know, spark another conversation and another conversation. And so that's what I kind of see our role as doing, is sparking conversations.
Yeah, fantastic. And Neil, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jonny said a lot there about the value, both sides of our relationship with them. You know, it's a partnership and it's a trust and a friendship with them as well. And I think we are lucky to have that, because it works both ways. There's, you know, interestingly, we've done like a lot of initiatives with them, big public health campaigns, and going to big companies, and you know, you've got to deliver it right. There's an expectation on both sides that you know, if we're introducing Mental Health UK to people for fundraising, that they're going to, you know, be able to fulfill that, and if they ask us to do something for them, that we're going to be able to do the conversation justice on any day. And actually, there's been nothing formal. There's been nothing in writing. There's no contract. Just from day one, it's been just this environment of trust and openness and honesty. And I think you can only have that if you just know the people, you know, working there. Like, we both go out of our way to like actually know who they are personally. Like, we have lunch with them. We've been to their birthday parties, their Christmas events, you know, their AGM meetings. We have chats with coffee that are nothing to do with mental health. And then when we go and do the work with them, it's just seamless and it just works, and there's trust on either side. And I think that's what a good partnership is. So we don't need a contract or anything. It just works. And for that reason, we just want to continue supporting them, and we hope they want to continue supporting us. And we believe what they do is good. You know, we've been around a lot of charities. They're good people working there. They're really good. They really care. And it's you know, that's important to us to support them.
What advice would you give to business leaders wanting to better support their employees' mental health?
Sure. I think on a practical level, start off by doing something rather than nothing. So if you're a business and you want to support your employees with mental health, make sure that you're doing at least something. And there's lots of information out there about the free stuff you can do, the pledges you can do, the manifestos you can support, just to say, like, you know, this is a topic we should be talking about. We may not have it perfect, but we're just going to allow the discussion to happen. That's the most important thing. I think once that's established, you know, you really need a little bit of strategy once the conversation is going in the workplace. And it's really important to involve everybody, because it is this topic that involves everybody. Nobody's immune. So right up at where the CEO sits, and right down where you're recruiting your graduates, You know, everybody needs to have some connection to this conversation. Nobody should be left out. That's what we've seen in the companies that have done it really well anyway. Look, money makes a difference. So you've got to apply a budget. Free things will only get you so far. You know, you need to pay for good training. You need good trainers, good facilitators, good workshops, good speakers. You know, the speakers out there, you know, they need to be available, and, you know, they need to earn a living too, and be able to turn up on a Wednesday afternoon when they're not doing another job to talk for a company. You know, so, you know, you've got to make sure there's a healthy budget for the wellbeing agenda. That can take a couple of years to develop. But when you know, then when you start adding those things up, you know, you've actually got something that's going to make a difference to people. So yeah, I think get started if you're not starting, and if you are doing it really well, definitely keep learning. There's lots of peer-to-peer support out there, lots of industry events where you're learning, oh, what is that organization doing, or, you know, what's new in the world of workplace mental health, you know, because we keep learning all the time. So that would be my advice.
What are the benefits of investing in workplace wellbeing?
So the benefits investing in workplace well-being, I mean, there's two sides. One is, if you're talking about investment, there's a lot, like from a monetary perspective, or like what do you get back perspective, which businesses have to take into account or understand. You know, there's so many reports out there that say, for example, every pound you spend on mental health investment, so we're talking about like training, around, you know, training your staff to understand and have conversations, you get about £5 to £6 back on that pound that you spend. That's through reduced absenteeism, which is people just, you know, increasing people being very present and engaged with their work, improving retention, which is very expensive when you have to recruit new people because somebody's had to leave because they're not getting the right support. And also it improves customer relationships. It helps you to have better human relationships with the people you're serving, and in turn, you know, bringing more money into the company. So, you know, and time off work is the biggest thing. Time off work is due to mental health issues, is the biggest reason why people take time off work. So more than physical reasons. So, you know, if you can invest in that and making sure that people feel they can turn up and be supported, then yeah, there is a big argument for investment. But aside from that, on a human level, we know through doing many talks, events, and supporting companies with their mental health and well-being, that you certainly could save somebody's life in the company. Somebody could just learn that one thing or get that bit of support, which means that they feel like they, you know, don't need to take their life. And you can't put a price on that. And we've seen it happen. We know it happens. People have told us that because of that event or that training or that awareness or that support from a colleague, that they decided not to take their life, that they went and got help through their workplace. And if that's a reason not to invest, then I don't know what is.
What message do you have for people who are currently struggling with their mental health?
Well, I think, you know, if someone's struggling with their mental health, then, you know, they have to remember that they're definitely not alone. And I know that's a kind of cliche, you're not alone, but, you know, you're really, really not alone. I thought when I was really unwell, when I was in hospital with my mental health, I just thought I was the only person that was kind of my age. I was 20 at the time. I thought, you know, what other 20-year-old is going to be really unwell like this in a psychiatric hospital? And then I started getting out there and working in mental health and realizing that I definitely wasn't alone, you know. Mental health issues are so common. And it always amazes me, actually, you know, again, when myself and Neil will give a talk, the amount of people that come up at the end of a talk and say, I've been through something, whether it's depression, anxiety, or schizophrenia, or borderline personality disorder. Always just struck by the amount of people that say they've been through something similar. You know, you realize that you are 100% not alone. And also the fact is that there is help and support out there. You know, it can be hard to access support sometimes with our mental health system that we've got. but there is support from, we work with a lot of different charities. There's so many amazing third sector organizations out there that, can offer help and support. So do reach out, please do reach out. And obviously, lots of workplaces now have their own help and support, their EAP line, or, they've got mental health first aiders in the workplace, which is great. So, reach out, because I know, again, it's a cliche, but a problem shared is a problem halved. It is a cliche, but it's so true. Like, I know myself when I'm struggling with my mental health, if I just talk about it, I mean, honestly, it makes such a difference. So, please do reach out.